What's up guys, it's Alexander, and I have just finished up at the site visit in Chippenham for Debbie Winter. Absolutely brilliant turnout, really insightful. Great to see people getting stuck in and get to actually go to some of these sites where people are building them out and seeing what people are doing, mistakes people are making, learning from each other and growing in that way. And I mentioned yesterday in my video that I would give you guys a bit further insight into what it took to find the deal that I found not too far away from here, actually, in Wiltshire. So one of the things that I had to do to analyze this deal was around here. Finding comparables to calculate an end value can be a little bit tough because you've got different types of property. You've got cottages, nestled in with 50s builds, nestled in with semis, nestled in with terraces. So it's a little bit tough to try and find consistent units that are actually comparable to what it is that you're looking at. So you've got to do a little bit of jiggery pokery, you've got to do quite a few adjustments and things like that in order to find something that works. And also different sizes as well. When you're looking at significantly smaller properties, they might be comparable in type, but when you calculate the price per square meter, the size and the price don't scale very well. So when you look at smaller things, yeah, they will fetch a slightly cheaper price, but the price per square meter is going to be overinflated. And if you're looking at a slightly larger property and you're basing your GDV off a lower price per square meter, you're going to get an overinflated figure for sure. And that's precisely what happened with the figure with the deal I've got on Deal Connect right now. And the way that I managed to get around that was literally by speaking to a host of local agents. So I phoned 4-5 different local agents, bearing in mind quite a rural area, so not loads and loads of different agencies operating in that specific little area. And I spoke to each one of them and took their knowledge about that particular micro market, and I went with the most conservative option, and that was a GDV of 260,000, which you can see on the Deal Connect listing that I've got up at the moment. But that was, I got many different responses. Some people were saying 275. Another person said no, in that area that there's no way that you're going to get 275 if you want to be conservative anyway. Maybe you will, but that's a bit best case scenario. So I don't want to operate off best case scenario. So I went with the lowest, most conservative option, and I used all of my GDV comparable data to back it up. And that stuff takes time, and you've got to make calls and you've got to explain the situation, and it's part of the careful due diligence that you've got to do as a sourcer. The other thing that I did was I had to look at all of the listings that are available in the area for serviced accommodation, and I went through a whole host of different listings, getting rid of the things that weren't comparable, comparing different areas against each other, making sure that the listings I'm looking at are actually going to be similar enough to what I'm trying to sell to actually be worth looking at. And again, when you've got a relatively limited data set where you haven't got loads and loads and loads of different things to choose from, you've got to learn to make adjustments, and you've got to get really good at adjusting up or down depending on whether you're comparing 2 beds and 3 beds, because there's nothing else to look at without the area changing too much. So you've got all this sort of careful jiggery pokery that you've got to do, and careful adjustments that you've got to make sure that you err on the side of caution, so it's probably going to be better than what you think it's going to be. The other thing that I had to do was I had to send out a form to my builder to get a desktop renovation figure, and he gives me a range of what it's going to cost to do all the little jobs that are going to need doing for the specific exit, and I choose the higher end of that scale. So that way I've got a nice little contingency baked in there. That way that it's probably going to turn out better than what I've projected it to. So there's a lot of stuff that I had to do to analyze this deal. So it's a lot of looking, guys. It's a lot of volume. It's a lot of skill. It's a lot of knowledge. And it's a whole lot of rejection, a whole lot of working through figures, and a whole bunch of market research. So, some of you guys are earlier on. If you've got any questions, reach out to me. If you're interested in the deal, I'll put the Deal Connect link in the description below. If any of you guys want to work with me, if you don't want to do all of this long work and all that sort of stuff, then I'm happy to do it for you. Let's discuss what it is that you're looking for, and we can have a conversation and see if we can find you your ideal investment property. So I've been Alexander. I'll drop my details below, and I'll speak to you soon.